So these are the three conditions. We need to have metastable energy level. We need to construct an optical amplification by constructing an optical resonator, and we need to have population inversion. How can we do this? Before that, let's try to understand in detail what is meant by this metastable energy level, optical amplification, and population inversion in detail. So first, metastable energy level. Okay, before we try to understand metastable energy level, let's go back to our model. What was our model? That there is a very, very tall building. There are 20 floors in it. There are different floors in it. And there are 20 floors, we have said. And though there is a lift attached to it, but that lift can be used by the building owner only. Flat owners cannot use it. Okay, that was the condition for this building. Now, and we have said that there was a meeting held at the 20th floor, but generally people do not want to go there. So they are given some energy, some external energy supplied to them by alluring them, by attracting them to some way. So by that way, people now are in the 20th floor. So people are now gathering at the 20th floor. So with the help of the external energy that is given to them, they are now in 20th floor. Okay. Now what we said that as soon as the meeting is over, people do not prefer to stay there because that is not their normal floor. They do not prefer to stay in any higher floor than their normal floor. So if a person lives at first floor, that person doesn't want to stay at 20th floor. So as soon as the meeting is over, they are taking different routes to come back to their original floors. So that is spontaneous emission process. So they are taking different avenues. They are taking, say, north bound stair, northeast bound stair, etc., and coming back to their original floors, etc. Okay, that's how it is done. Now suppose when the people are coming back to their original floors, when they are coming back from the 20th floor to their original floors, so these are the original floors, midway or in any floor, suppose there is a floor like this, say this is the 15th floor. This particular floor is well decorated. It is decorated in some different way. Suppose in this particular floor, there is a library containing different types of books. It has some video parlor. It has some wide range of movies, wide range of documentaries are placed there. There is a section here where indoor games can be played. There is a section here where you can listen to some music. There are different types of CD that are placed there. So there is a separate place for having some snacks. So all type of amenities are at that place. Now, whenever people are going through this floor, when they observe what the floor consists of, they may stay there. Because those people who prefer to read books, they are observing that there is a good library there. They can stay for some time. Those who want some music, they can listen to that. Those who are fond of movies, documentaries, they can also stay there. Those who are fond of games, they can play some games there. Those who want to have some food, that is also available. So all types of entertainments are available there. Therefore, people can stay there for longer period. Initially, people are not staying at any floor. As soon as the meeting is over, they will come down to their original floor. They will not stay in any other floor. That was the normal thing. There's a common thing. Now, due to this particular floor, now some people are staying for longer period at this particular floor. So now at the 15th floor, say people are staying for longer period. How long will they spend their night there? No. They may stay for some minutes, say 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or some hours maximum. They want to stay for watching a whole movie of say 2 hours. They may stay there. They may want to read the whole book. So it takes 3 hours. They stay there. But this is not the stable place to stay. So this is not a stable place. So it is a meta-stable place. It is semi-stable. It is semi-stable. So we call it as semi-stable or meta-stable flow. We call it as meta-stable flow. Similarly, whenever we are talking about different energy levels, suppose there are several energy levels, we are only bothering about 2 energy levels, E1 and another higher energy level, say E2. Maybe in between there are all other energy levels. We are not bothering about it. We are considering only the lowest energy level, the ground level, and any high energy level, which we are giving the name as E2. Between them, there may be several other energy levels we are not talking about. Now, suppose in between these 2 energy levels, there is a particular energy level here where atoms can stay for longer period. Now, longer is very comparative thing. Your longer and my longer may not be same. So, as engineers, as scientists, you need to know what is meant by that. Like here, whenever I am talking about that meta-stable flow, how much time people can stay? 3 hours, max 4 hours, not greater than that. Similarly, here how much time atoms can spend? In general, in the higher energy level, atom can stay. I told you that the time is very small. The time of stay is very small. In general, atom can stay there for 10 to the power minus 8 seconds. This is the time atoms can stay. Very small, you understand. Whereas in case of metastable energy level, atoms can stay 10 to the power minus 3 to 10 to the power minus 4 seconds. You may say it is also very small. True, it is also very small. 10 to the power minus 3 or 10 to the power minus 4 seconds is also very small. But you compare with the 10 to the power minus 8 seconds. It is now 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 5 times greater. If we compare the lifetime of people, lifetime of atoms in any high energy level, this is we call as lifetime. This is we call as lifetime. That is how much time the atom stays in high energy level, which is generally 10 to the minus 8 seconds. But now it is 10 to the power. Now it is 10 to the power minus 3 to 10 to the minus 4 seconds. That means tau dash by tau will be 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 5 times. So large. 10 to the 4 to 10 to the 5 times. Very large. Therefore, you understand, with respect to the normal lifetime of atoms in high energy level, at metastable energy level, atoms can stay very long time, very longer period. So that is what we call as metastable energy level. And if we want a lasing action, then first thing you require a material, you require a particular type of material in which there will be some metastable energy level, or at least there will be a metastable energy level. We require this metastable energy level. That's why we cannot choose any type of material as our material for laser. No, we need special type of material which we call as active material. Active material means that type of material in which metastable energy level is present. And what is metastable energy level? Metastable energy level is one type of energy level where atom can stay for longer period. By longer, you must mention that 10 to the power minus 3 to 10 to the power minus 4 seconds. Atom can stay there. Like Al2O3, Al2O3, which we call as sapphire. Sapphire is a crystal. It's a white crystal. Sapphire is a white crystal. Sapphire cannot be used for lasing action because sapphire doesn't have any metastable energy level. Now you dope some chromium in sapphire. You dope some chromium in sapphire. In doing so, we get what we call ruby. the ruby has a pinkish color. You get the ruby, and the ruby, that means Al2O3 plus chromium, that material has metastable energy level. Because when chromium is added to Al2O3, then some metastable energy levels are created. Then we can use it as active medium. We can use it as active medium or active material for lasing. So we can use now this ruby, that is the Al2O3 plus chromium, to construct our laser. But only Al2O3 will not be sufficient. We need to dope chromium in it. So that's why when I said metastable energy level, and I said it can be achieved by doping, this is the reason. Because generally materials do not possess metastable energy level. So you need to dope something in it so that you get that metastable energy level. And research is going on to find out this type of material. That is what doping should be done in what type of material so that you can get metastable energy level. So this is all metastable energy level. Next, what you require? The next thing is population inversion. Population inversion. So we want to invert the general population. Say along y-axis we are plotting energy, along x-axis we are plotting number of atoms per unit volume. Okay. Then according to Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution, Ni is proportional to e to the power minus Ei by Kt. That means it is an exponentially decaying thing like this thing. This is not correct. Okay, suppose this. So there are different, suppose this energy level I'm drawing as a band because ultimately we have a band. So for this energy level, the number is small. This is the number. Whereas this energy level, this energy has higher number. Now suppose this energy. So you observe, I have drawn three energy levels. Say this is E1, E2, E3. Say this is E1, this is E2. Suppose there may be other energy levels. I am drawing only 3. So you observe E1 has maximum number N1, number of atoms per unit volume. E2 has less number than E1, and then E3 has much lesser number. So with increasing energy, number density, that is number per unit volume, decreases. So this is the normal case. That is followed by the statistic. Now that means here what we observe, N2 greater than N1 greater than N2. That we observe. That is the normal case. Now what we want? We want population inversion. That means now suppose I want E3 remains same. This is E3. Now I want N2 to be greater than N1. That means now I want this one like this, whereas this one. So now it is N1. So this one is N1. This one is N2. So what we observe now? N2 is now greater than N1. This thing we want. This is not normal. Please understand. This is not a normal thing to happen. So with energy, now what we are getting, that E3 is N3, that is number corresponding to E3 is again smaller, but the number of atoms per unit volume for E2 is now larger than that of E1. So that condition is called population inversion. Similarly, here what we are doing, we are getting the population inversion between E1 and E2. You can do it between any two energy levels. That means suppose between E1 and E3. You want between E1 and E3, or between say E2 and E3. That means suppose I want between E2 and E3. So now I want, this is our E3, this is the number, whereas E2, for E2, say this is what it looks like. E1 is as usual. E1 is as usual like this. So this is E1. The number is N1 maximum. This is E2. This is E3. Generally, E2 is number of atoms in E2 should be greater than number of atoms in E3. But here what we get, N3 is greater than N2. So again we get population inversion. So this is called population inversion. We want to invert the normal process. We want to invert the normal process. And that is called population inversion. And population inversion can be achieved between any two energy level. Between ground, say E1, and any high energy level, like say E2 or E3. Then suppose we want the population inversion between ground and E3. Then what we want, N3 should be greater than N1. We want the population inversion between third and fourth. That means N4 should be greater than N3. This is the way. So that is called population inversion, which is not normal. Please understand. And how can we achieve it? Population inversion can be achieved by pumping. By the method of pumping. Now, whenever we hear the term pumping, the mechanism that comes in our mind is water pumping. That if I am staying not at ground floor, suppose I am staying at the second floor in a building, then I need to pump the water to my floor. So, with the help of some electrical energy, I move the water from ground to my floor, and I call that as electrical pumping. Same thing is done here. Only the difference is that instead of floors, we have different energy levels. We have several energy levels like this. Say this is E1, this is E2, say this is E3, say this is E4, and so on and so. Now, by pumping, suppose I want to pump between E1 and E4. What that is, does that mean? To understand one thing, if you want the emission process for light, you require emission process. What type of light? Whether you want normal type of light beam, which we use in our daily life, in our home, the incandescent bulb, etc., or we want laser. In any way, we want emission process. In normal case, we require spontaneous emission. In case of laser, we require stimulated emission. But we require emission. That is the main point. But why emission process will occur? Why people will come down from 20th to ground floor? People are not staying at 20th floor. So first thing, you need to move people from ground floor to 20th floor. That is the first thing you need to do. Otherwise, people will not come down. Similarly, emission process will not occur unless you excite atoms to the higher energy level. If you do not have atoms in the higher excited states, then they will not be de-excited. And once they de-excite, then only photons can be emitted. Emission process may occur. So, first thing, you need to excite atoms. You need to move the atoms from low energy to high energy. And that process is called pumping. As simple as that. Just like our water. We want to move our water from lower to higher flow. Same thing. Now, in case of movement of water, the energy, we need to supply some external energy. And we use some electrical device, which we call as pump. And the energy we are supplying by is electrical energy. Here, whenever we want to excite atoms, we can supply energy by any way. There is no restriction. You can supply energy by light, we call it as optical pumping. You can supply energy through electrical energy. Suppose electrical discharge you are doing. So this is called electrical pumping or electrical pumping, or we can say electric discharge when we supply the energy in the form of electrical energy. That means this is your atom. When you supply energy from external source, this atom will be excited to high energy level. Now, so you need to supply this energy. What is the amount of energy you need to supply? You need to supply at least E4 minus E1 energy. If we want to excite the atom from E1 to E4, then this is the at least amount of energy. You may supply more energy than this, no problem. But at least this is the amount of energy you need to supply. So that is, so you can supply by optical in a pumping by electrical pumping, by chemical, by collision method. That means you supply some energy to one type of atom. This atom will collide with other type of atom, and during that collision, the energy will be supplied. So anyway, you can supply energy differently. That is the point. And that process is called pumping. Whatever be the way you are supplying the energy, but by supplying the energy, you are exciting some atoms from low energy level to high energy level. You are exciting atoms from low energy level to high energy level. Then that process is called pumping. Then we call that process as pumping. Okay. So by pumping, you can have this population inversion. That means generally there's plenty of water in the ground level. In the ground floor, we have plenty of water. So that is the normal thing. Just like lower energy levels are more populated than higher energy levels. Now, with the help of pumping, we have moved some water to the higher energy through higher flow. Similarly, with the help of pumping, we have energized some atoms to the higher energy level, such that now the number of atoms in higher energy level, that particular energy level, the number of atoms in that particular energy level per unit volume is greater than the number of atoms per unit volume in the lower energy level. So we get population inversion by this way of pumping. Next thing, U should be large. That means we require optical amplification. And so we require optical amplification. And by the method of optical resonator or cavity resonator, or some people call it as oscillator. Why is it called oscillator? Oscillator in electrical circuit is called a device which doesn't require input energy. You need to supply the input energy once, then from the output energy, it feedbacks is required input energy, and the process continues. That is called oscillator. So here also we require that type of device. We require optical amplification by constructing this type of quantity, this type of device. What is this device basically? What this device does? This device amplifies the photon energy. And how it amplifies? It simply increases the number of photons. This is the simple thing. It increases the number of photons. So let me draw it. So this is your active medium, active material. That means the material which consists metastable energy level. This is the active medium. Say Al2O3 with chromium. Now this is your active medium. So this is your active medium. Okay. So it consists of several atoms, etc. If it is made of, if it is gas, then you place this within a chamber, and that is the chamber. So either I am drawing that solid material, or if it is a gas or liquid, then I have placed it within a chamber, and this is the chamber that I have drawn. Now there are two sides. On each side we place a mirror. On each side we place a mirror, and these two mirrors are perfectly parallel to each other. This is the most important thing. Though my drawing doesn't suggest that, please excuse me, but understand that these two mirrors are perfectly in alignment with each other. That means they are perfectly parallel. These two mirrors are perfectly parallel. Okay. One mirror is fully silvered. Say this one, fully silvered. Mirror has some silver lining, because what is the use of mirror? The maximum portion of the light will be reflected back, so that we can observe our image. That is the use of mirror. So mirror restricts refraction. Maximum portion will be reflected. Of course, some will be refracted, but if the silver lining at the back is pure enough and thick enough, then we call it as fully silver. Fully silver means 100% reflection, no refraction. Or theoretically, though it is possible, practically you cannot stop refraction. There will be a small amount of refraction, but that amount is very, very small, negligible. So that type of mirror we call is fully silver mirror. The maximum portion will be reflective. And another mirror, say mirror 1 is fully silver. And mirror 2 is say partially silver. Partially silver. That means maximum portion will be reflected, but some portion will be refracted too. So whenever the light intensity is very large, then it can pass that light through it. So because this is the output. So there will be a output through which laser light will be emitted. So that will be through this M2. Okay. So one is fully silver, other is partial silver, but both are mirrors. Now what we are doing it, this is your optical resonator. Simple. This is optical resonator. The active medium placed inside the two mirrors, two parallel flat mirrors. What is the purpose? Now you observe. By pumping, you have exciting a large number of atoms with a high excited state. And there is a metastatic energy level, of course. Now, whenever some atoms are de-excited, by spontaneous emission method or stimulated emission method, whatever, some photons are created. Okay, so by spontaneous emission method, generally, and a very small amount by stimulated emission method, some photons are created. So you have now some photons. And these photons are randomly moving, because we know by spontaneous emission method, the whatever photons are created, they can move in any arbitrary direction. That's why if I place a light bulb in our room at one corner, the whole room will be illuminated. So these photons are arbitrarily moving. Now what we are doing, when we place two mirrors on two sides, what will happen? Observe. Suppose this particular, change the color. Say this particular photon. This is the direction along which it is going, so it will be out of the box. It is out of the resonator. This one, it is going in this direction, reflects back by the mirror M2, and then out of the cavity. This one out of the cavity. This one out of the cavity. This one reflects, then out of the cavity, and so and so. So all of these are out of the cavity. Only those which are moving perpendicular to the mirror. Suppose this one is going perpendicular to the mirror. So after deflection, this is the direction along which it will come back. Similarly, this one, this is going in this particular direction, perpendicular to the mirror M2. So it will be reflected back, and it is now going in this direction. This is the direction along which it will be. Now when this one, after reflection it goes to the mirror 1, again reflected back, and the process continues. So you observe, only those photons which are moving perpendicular to the mirrors are trapped within the resonator. Only those which are moving perpendicular to the mirrors will be trapped within the resonator. All the other photons will be eventually out of this resonator. That means after a fraction of a second or less than that, what we'll observe? We'll observe only those photons which are going in this direction, either going positive x direction or negative x direction. That means now the photons are moving in a particular direction. We have trapped only those photons which are moving in a particular direction. And now we can increase this number. How? Now these photons are trapped. They cannot escape from this. So these photons are created by spontaneous emission. And we have trapped those photons. We have trapped only some particular photons. Which particular photons? Which are moving in a particular direction. This is the direction we want. Now, these photons are moving in between these two ends. Between these two mirrors. The photons are moving. and in between there are so many atoms. So when these photons are interacting with these atoms, stimulated emission process will be triggered. That means these photons will stimulate some excited atoms. These photons will stimulate some excited atoms. That means they will tell some excited atoms that your time is over. Please go back to the low energy level. And those photons will be de-excited to low energy level. But whenever they will be de-excited, they will create some more photons. They will create some more photons in the same direction. Because we know by stimulated emission method, whatever photons are created, they must be in the same direction as the stimulating photon. So now we have some more photons. What we are going? One photon creates two photons now. These two photons will be trapped. So each of these two photons will create two more photons. Now we have four photons. Each of these four photons create two photons. That means eventually the number of photons will be increased. Amplification is on. That is how we can increase the energy density. We will continue this discussion on optical amplification in the next class tomorrow.